Hello everyone, it's Colby. Welcome to Excited Caves D&D discussions where my buddy Philip and I go over all things D&D. This time, all about the player handbooks elves. Hope you like it. Like, subscribe. Let's get into it. The elf has a lot of additional races
Yeah.
or
Well,
sub
elf has
races onto
always
it.
been a very, very well fleshed out
Yeah.
race.
Yeah, so the sub races we'll go over today are I'm pretty sure the dark elf, the high elf, and the wood elf were in the original player's handbook.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're just going to go over those three. I see there's about a dozen sub races in total. So we'll just
Yeah.
start with,
Well, and some of them are just other kind of similar things to the other three.
yeah,
Like Arnai High Elf. It's just another type of High Elf.
yeah,
Or Arnai Wood Elf. Just another Wood Elf. Eladrin is basically a High Elf.
yeah,
Eladrin variant is just a variant of the Eladrin. Mark of Shadow Elf, very similar to Drow.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
the real standout one of the other ones, in my opinion, is the Sea Elf.
yeah. But again, we won't go into
Oh,
that.
we won't go over it today.
No. So, elf traits. Ability score increase, or the base elf traits are an ability score increase of a dexterity by 2. They are very old. They can live up to 750 years. They're usually 5 to 6 feet tall or 5 to over 6 feet tall.
The weird thing to me about their age is that it says that they don't claim adulthood until age 100, even though they mature at the same rate as humans.
Yeah, elves have always been like that though. They takes a long time for them. Oh, yeah, I guess so. That is weird.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
well.
like unless you're 100, you don't get to claim your adult name.
Yeah. So
You're
you
still in the trial,
so you have
still in the
a
trial period.
base walking speed of 30 feet. You get dark vision, which is super helpful. You get proficiency in the perception skill, which is the most used skill, so that's helpful. You have Fey Ancestry, you have an advantage, which gives you advantage on saving throws against being charmed, and magic can't put you to sleep. Kind of,
It makes the sleep spell pointless.
yeah, it's definitely like situational, but when it comes up, it's like, yes, got you. Can't do
Yeah.
that. Uh, You get trance, so elves don't need to sleep. This is a nice little bit of role playing. Instead, they meditate deeply, remaining semi conscious for 4 hours a day. Also, it helps for watches because they only have to meditate for 4 hours a day.
Yeah. Especially when combined with proficiency in perception.
Yes, they are very good watches. And you know Common and Elvish, of course. So those are all the
That's
base ones.
crazy.
And I really like the sub races of these. I think
Alpha's just good.
yeah, they're all
It's
thematically different from each other.
it's the most fleshed out race, and it makes sense because I mean
They're great.
a lot of D&D is based off of Tolkien, and the elves are kind of big in Tolkien.
Yeah.
That's why elves, dwarves, and humans are kind of like more common in this world,
Yeah.
as well as orcs and goblins as villains.
Yeah. So starting with the drow, you get an ability score increase of charisma by 1. You have superior dark vision, so your dark vision has a radius of 120 feet. Again, super helpful. Sunlight sensitivity, again, something that I'm not a big fan of, but I think it helps to balance out the drow magic, which I love. So you know the dancing lights cantrip. It's just a nice little bit of role playing, to be honest, um, and kind of gives you some cool lights. Very practical as well. And when you reach third level, you can cast a fairy fire spell once with this trait until you do a long rest. I don't really use fairy fire very
I
much.
don't like it.
You don't like it?
It's just
Oh,
never come
that's
up to be something that's worth it.
How is this a first level spell? This is
It
useless.
it could be useful if you were the only one with dark vision in a party of people that can't see, and then some people ambushed you.
That's true. So
But
you
that's the only time, and it's only a 20-foot cube.
so you do it on your friends to give them light? Is that what it is?
No, you use it on your enemies.
Yeah, but then you have sunlight sensitivity.
This isn't sunlight.
Uh, you're right. That was stupid.
What do you, that's like saying that any light would be sensitive for you.
Yes, you're right. So, yeah, it can be helpful. Not very helpful
Well,
though.
and it's useful if you're fighting something that turns invisible,
That's true. Also, when
but
you when
it's
you
very situational. It is good to have it as part of your race because then you never have to take it as part of your class.
mhm,
You just have it.
yeah. So when you reach fifth level, you can cast the darkness spell, which this is the best part of it. Honestly, being able to cast a darkness spell
Darkness is so good.
once per long rest. Yeah, it's great. For these spells, the charisma is your spellcasting ability, which can be good or bad depending on how you're playing. But at least you get that ability score increase of one, just one, but
Mhm.
can be helpful. Something made me think that Drow could see in darkness, but I guess that's some monsters, right?
Well, they have dark vision.
It doesn't mean you can see through magical darkness.
No. Very, very, very few things can see through magical darkness. Some DMs will like homebrew a darkness spell that makes it so that you can just your allies can see through darkness.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't know what I'm thinking of then. But
I don't know.
But you also get Drow weapon training, which gives you proficiency with rapiers, short swords, and hand crossbows, which proficiencies are always good, especially the rapier. This is,
Yeah, it's just useful.
yeah, it's obviously for like a dexterity based melee if you wanted to do that.
I mean, all three of those weapons are dex.
Yeah. Or if you're a spellcaster and you want something better than a dagger, you can use a rapier.
Also, just nice to be able to use a hand crossbow if you want.
Yeah.
Sometimes, especially early levels, a hand crossbow is better than a cantrip.
Yeah.
Not always, but
Mhm. So I like the Dark Elf.
I do too.
Uh,
I also like the aesthetic of dark elves with the
yes.
ashen skin and the
There's
curly hair.
There's definitely some good role playing there for dark elves. And if you're a dark elf, I mean, there's probably some subterranean nation or city that you can go to, which is always cool
Yeah.
in the world.
Hmm.
Next
You
one.
just gotta remember that in most lore and in the lore of D&D, dark elves are the bad guys. They're they're
Yeah,
evil,
that's
and
true.
it's both that like quote inherently evil, but they are like they're slavers.
Yeah.
Like whether you think there's the morality of is every race inherently evil, it's a race of people that enslave people. Um, you know that's kind of awful.
Yeah, it's definitely not good for sure.
Yeah, whether it's your fault that you're evil or it's your upbringing doesn't change the fact that you're evil.
Yeah. So the next one is the High Elf. You get an increase to your intelligence by one. You gain proficiency with long sword, short bow, and long bow. Again, always nice to have proficiencies, especially a long bow. And cantrip. You know, one cantrip of your choice from the wizard's spell list, and intelligence is your spellcasting ability for it.
And you get extra language.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
simple.
I mean this is Elrond. Like
Yeah,
it's the elves that are all high and mighty. They're the old ones. They're the pretentious ones.
yeah. It's the cantrip's nice. It's great player choice for that. and it's from
Mhm.
the wizard spell list, which is
Which is the biggest spell list.
yeah, exactly. So
Basically, the only cantrip you don't get is Eldritch Blast
yeah, exactly.
and
So
like Druid Craft.
lots of choice, and it's a cantrip. You can use it as much as you want. There's no requirement for once per long rest. So just a good class. Good, not a good class, a good race, sub race.
Subrace.
Mm-hmm. Then the wood elf, which is
Basically the
probably
same, but
yeah, but
instead of spell and an extra language, your walking speed is faster and you can hide better.
yeah, this is your classic ranger.
Yeah, it's Legolas.
Yeah,
You know.
and your wisdom score increases by one instead of the intelligence, which again just plays into the ranger more or druid.
Yeah, it plays into you're in the woods, not you know in a nice waterfall cliffside.
Yeah, so you can't really go wrong with elves.
No, elves are good.